Hello, everybody. We are on week 8 of our Block Eats intuitive eating program. So this week, we're going to talk about gentle nutrition. The last principle that we usually work with in intuitive eating is nutrition. Now, we all know that what we decide to put into our body is really important. It affects our health and well-being, mental health, everything. And I feel like if you ask just about anybody, what are the super basics of healthy eating? What does it look like? Most people would say something along the lines of
one ingredient foods straight from the source. Apples, potatoes, broccoli. I love broccoli. Watermelon.
I would think a lot of fruit, vegetables, protein, things that you can't add a lot of ingredients to, that you could just simple.
A salad, chicken, rice, veggies, fruit, yes, black beans.
mostly unprocessed foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, not too much sugar. So why is it so hard? So here is a visual from intuitive eating, and it's got these two sides. And I think healthy eating is hard for two reasons. The first set of reasons why healthy eating can be hard is because we are not skilled at that inner attunement. We're stuck in diet culture. We're following someone else's plan. We have a lot of morality around food. We're not attuned to our body's signals of hunger, fullness, or satisfaction. We're not paying attention to how foods make our bodies feel, regardless of the healthiness of them. We don't honor our own cycles, understanding that every day is going to be a little bit different. So if a healthy relationship with food is not in place, then it's really difficult to pursue healthy eating. When it comes to the other side, the external health values, I think sometimes it's hard because we don't deal with the boulders first, meaning the biggest things that can make the biggest difference. There is so much nutrition information out there. Nutrition science is a relatively new area, and there's new information coming out every day. It's really easy to get caught in the weeds of carb cycling, seed cycling, nutrient timing, pre, intra, post workout feeding, supplements. And some of these things have great science behind them, and some of them can be really helpful. But if your boulders are not in place first, it doesn't make sense to worry about all that minutia yet. In regards to those external health values, intuitive eating encourages starting with variety, moderation, and balance. So variety, meaning we're eating from all the food groups. We're eating a range of colorful foods and allowing some play or fun foods in our diet as well. Moderation, meaning not too much and not too little. And balance, which really is talking about nutrition averaged over time. So not being overly concerned with perfection in a meal or even in a day, but consistency over time. Progress over time, not perfection in the moment. So once you've worked on your relationship with food and you feel like you're in a good place as far as variety, moderation, and balance, another one of those big boulders that we can start to work on is improving the quality of our food. So making choices that are less processed, incorporating more fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans and legumes, things like that into our diet. Again, we have to find ways to do this that we really enjoy and that are satisfying to us. We can't just force ourselves to eat foods just because they're healthy and expect that we're going to be satisfied with our diet. You can start to make small changes to incorporate some more whole foods into your diet and experiment with some new foods or preparing foods in new ways to make sure that they are enjoyable and satisfying. Again, if you have a healthy relationship with food, you can come at this with a sense of fun and play and curiosity and be pleasantly surprised if you are able to incorporate these foods that maybe you've avoided in the past in new and interesting ways into your diet. So improving the quality of the food that you eat can be another big boulder we work on before we get to some of the more nuanced choices around diet. And again, if you have been working on your interoceptive cues, when you play with these or do some experiments, if you're able to really tune into your body and how that's making you feel, you should notice that your performance is enhanced and you're feeling better and you're recovering better when you've made that switch. And that's going to be exciting and it's going to feel good. And it will be easier to make that healthier choice in the future because now you've had that experience and you know what it feels like in your body, and it makes that healthier choice easier. So I'm going to say it again. If you don't have a healthy relationship with food, which is all that internal work and the first principles of intuitive eating, it's really difficult to pursue healthy eating. This means that even if we're trying to make healthy choices, we have to continue to pay attention to our thinking. If I'm out and I'm making a decision about what to eat, I ask myself what sounds good, what feels like it's going to be satisfying, what's going to make my body feel good, what's going to give me energy for the task at hand. And I can consider nutrition, but I have to watch my thoughts. If you can't consider nutrition without starting to think in shoulds or putting moral judgment, oh, that bad food, or feeling guilt, or making choices around your eating based on who you're eating with, in other words, if you're still working on your relationship with food and those first 9 principles of intuitive eating, you may not be ready to pay too much attention to those external health values of food. And that's okay. Remember, this is a long game. You can think about your relationship to food and the first principles of intuitive eating as that foundation that then you can build on. And if you have a strong foundation, eating for health is easier. This is why nutrition is introduced as the last principle. Now, a decision that looks the same can come from very different lines of thinking. I can not eat the cookie, or I can not eat the cookie. If I'm making the decision based on fear and negative thinking, or I'm basing the decision based on respect for my body and what it truly wants, the outcome may look the same. I may not eat the cookie, but the paths to get there are very different. One feels good, it's sustainable, it supports your mental and physical health. The other one, not so much. Now, are there times when tracking macros or certain nutrients is a good thing? Absolutely, as long as it doesn't trigger you and throw you back into diet culture. For example, here are some instances when it may be beneficial to track some things. If you're trying to get pregnant or nursing, you obviously have some specific dietary needs. If you are a competitive athlete, getting enough food to recover is really important. You might need to track. This is especially a problem with females. Stacy Sims has 2 books out, and she talks about how this is a problem even with high-level athletes. If you are in perimenopause or menopause, there is research that shows that getting enough protein and fiber, for example, can make that time of life easier. And obviously, if you have a health condition like celiac disease or diabetes, hopefully you're working with a healthcare provider because you have some specific dietary needs. As CrossFitters, it can be really easy to fall into orthorexic eating or being obsessed with the healthiness of food. And orthorexia can be just as damaging as other disordered eating patterns or eating disorders. Now, it can be hard to change your mind about things. It takes courage to make decisions that are best for you. We are social creatures, and you might get pushback as you begin to make changes around your eating, even from those who love you and have your best interest in mind. But you're the only one living in your body. You're the only one who can hear the thoughts in your head, and you're the only one that can observe the cues from your body. You're the only one with your lived experience and history. You are unique in these thoughts, experiences, and sensations. And true freedom from dieting, food obsession, and real enjoyment of food and respect from your body can only come from you. Now, if you're interested in continuing your work with intuitive eating, I would recommend the books, Intuitive Eating, as well as the workbook that goes with it. This has more activities around the principles that you can do on your own. I recommend the book Anti-Diet, and if you're a parent, the book How to Raise an Intuitive Eater. You can also reach out and work with me directly. Thank you so much. This has been a really great experience for me. I hope that it's been interesting and maybe you've learned something. Have a great week, and I'll see you at the gym.